Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, we are a minimalist family of 7 who are living big with less. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what minimalism means to us and answer some big questions around minimalism and mental health, and particularly the links to minimalism and happiness. So if you are curious or you're starting out your journey and you want to know more about the outworking of minimalism, stick around. So I have been wanting to do a video about this for quite some time because I personally really struggled with anxiety for a long time, and it's still something that on the daily I have to put back in its place. And I have found that minimalism has really helped with my own mental health and keeping that anxiety in check. And one of my sweet subscribers, Sophie, she is in high school in Germany, actually sent me an email and asked if I would be able to help her with an assignment she's doing on happiness and the links to minimalism and happiness. And I thought these questions are so good that I'll just do a video and I'm going to answer her questions, and hopefully you guys might find something interesting or something that you can apply to your own journey as I share a little bit about how minimalism helped me to cope with anxiety and stress a whole heap better. So I'm just going to go through her questions, and the first one, which is a perfect place to start, is how do we define minimalism? So for me, it's really simple. Keep the things that you love and use them, and let go of the things that are detracting from those things you love. I don't think there is a right number. I don't think there is a right way to live. I don't think that minimalism is the only way. But I think when we focus our attention on keeping those things that we love and use and make us happy, and let go of the things that are cluttering up our lives, to me, that's what minimalism is. So this next question I have already answered in a Q&A, and that is, how did I become a minimalist? I have always tended to be on the minimalist side of the spectrum. I've never had a problem letting things go. However, I grew up in a family that really did. So I really understand that challenge and that heartache that can be attached to things that we love and that we own, and that's, for some people, it's really hard to let go. So for me, I think I was always on a path to minimalism, and that when I got sick and when I was particularly struggling with huge amounts of anxiety, that is when minimalism became almost a necessity for me to keep going. The next question I think is so interesting and is something that is not really talked about, and that is, what are the difficulties with minimalism? So what sort of barriers do people come up against when they're starting a minimalist lifestyle or just downsizing in general? And I think that emotional attachments to things is huge for people to overcome, and that particularly when there's some sort of grief involved, that process is long and it's not simple in any way, and that can be a huge roadblock. No matter how much you want to be simpler, if you're dealing with those sorts of attachments, it's going to be a long road. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but I would just say slow and steady wins the race. Another thing that I think is huge for people, particularly if you've gone through some form of financial difficulty, is the fear of letting things go because you might need them in the future. And this is so closely linked to anxiety because we're fearful about what we don't know, fearful of the future, fearful of what might come. It's a huge problem for people who have been through financial difficulty and maybe gone without, and then to think about getting rid of all these things that you might sometime in your life need is really hard. For me, those are the two biggest, and they are so real, and I can completely understand it, and I do think that you can find a happy medium between the two. But sometimes, especially at the beginning, those feelings, they're like a huge wave. You know, they feel like they're going to be there forever and that these are the most important things, and then as you ride that wave and start to let go of some things, that it becomes easier and easier with time. So the next question is, I also think, so interesting, which is minimalism is really popular in social media. And her question is, do I think it's a trend or that will change? Or is it something that will sort of stand the test of time? I think the term minimalism is new and trendy, but I actually think the act of minimalism and living a simple life is age old, that there have been people doing this. This is not something we invented. This is something that has happened, and that perhaps as our life, like things became more affordable and we had bigger homes, that we fell away from that simple life. So I think that there will always be a place for minimalism, and I think that that will change, and it is different for everybody. But I sincerely hope it's not a trend. I hope that it's a trend away from consumerism and away from debt, and a trend towards simplicity and living within your means, and also just, you know, less waste, you know, not having to buy the newest and the greatest all the time, and loving and being content with what you have. Obviously, these questions are all about the links between minimalism and happiness. So the next question is, how do I define happiness? And so for me, happiness is friends and family and contentment. So it is about being content in the season that I'm in, loving my friends and family. For us personally, it's also a deep-rooted faith in God. So that is a huge part of it. And I also think, to a certain degree, not entirely, but to a certain degree, happiness is a choice that nobody else can make us happy, that's something we have to do for ourselves. And there have certainly been so many times in my life where I have faced depression and anxiety and those feelings that are so overwhelming, and not to belittle them in any way, but to constantly see the light at the end of the tunnel, to feel those emotions going and coming like the ocean, and moving forward and moving on. So do I think that minimalism is a way to be happy? Does it make me happy? Is such a big question. But at the end of the day, like I said, I don't think that things or people can make you happy. I think that that's a choice, that they contribute to your happiness, but they're not the motivating factors. For me though, minimalism has reduced my anxiety so much. So I am a highly sensitive person. If you haven't heard of that before, I'll link some articles down below that I found really helpful. Basically, highly sensitive people are just really attuned to the things, the noises, visual clutter. They're also really aware of other people's emotions. So for me, to be able to get rid of visual clutter is a huge calming factor for me, and I love it. I love the feeling of it. I find it very hard to relax, almost impossible if things are out of order or if things are messy and I can't find things. That really makes me very anxious. So to be able to find things in the morning for my kids, to be able to have processes in place where my kids and my husband can do things without me and things can still run smoothly because we've got the processes in place, that makes me super happy. Be able to sit down at the end of the day and have clear space to give all of my attention to my husband, that makes me happy. To be able to quickly clean up so I can give my kids all my attention and we can play, and we can go out and we can have big adventures, that makes me happy. So I can tell you right now that I do not think you need to have a clean house in order to have people over. I do not think you need to have a clean house in order to play with your kids. But for me personally, I can tell you right now, if there is a mess in my house, as much as I want to, half of my brain is going to be dedicated thinking about that mess when I'm playing with my kids. So minimalism has given me a way to find a happy medium. I can quickly clean up to a state where I can let go of anything else and I can give 100% of my attention to my kids. And that for me is so freeing, and it's probably the biggest perk of minimalism for me, is that I can give my whole self to my family, to my friends, and in my quiet time with God, it all helps me and contributes to my happiness. I'm gonna have to read this one because it's really long. Where do you see a connection between happiness and minimalism on the basis of the following factors? So satisfaction, freedom, independence, time, health, and environmental sort of themes. So as I said, I don't think that minimalism is the only way to happiness, but for me personally, the freedom that I feel to be able to quickly have things organized and ordered and know that there's processes in place, it frees up my mind literally to be able to go out and do the things that I want to do. Because prior to that, I know that half my brain would be thinking about whatever was undone in the home. And with minimalism for us has come financial freedom, because financially we simplified everything. We wanted to get out of debt, we wanted to stay debt free, and so for us there's been a huge financial freedom that has also come with minimalism. So that has been huge. As far as the environment goes, you know, I am far from zero waste, far from perfect. I know that the little bits all help. Every time we shop at the thrift store, every time we, you know, use something till it's gone, every time I wear perfume every single day, and I wear it because I love it, and I wear it because I don't want to waste it. If we wait for the perfect moment to use these things, that might never come. These things, we bought them to be enjoyed, and so for me that is a huge part of minimalism, is loving the things that you have. Use the good towels and the good china and your favorite tablecloth, because that's what they're there for. Time is a huge one. The amount of time that I spend cleaning and organizing is way less since I minimalized. Our kids can do things on their own because they're not overwhelmed by toys and things like that. So time is a huge part of it. And it's why I make cleaning videos, because I can tell you till I'm blue in the face how quick it is. But if you actually see me do it and you see us move on to other things, that's the proof is in the pudding. So this last question, it's similar to the other ones, is, do I think the minimalist lifestyle makes us happy, or is a way to be happy? I definitely think it's a way. It's not the way, it's not the only way, it's just a way. And for me, who has really struggled with, you know, I don't cope well with disorder, I don't cope well with visual clutter, you know, I need to know what's coming up, and if I don't, I start to feel really anxious, and then I'm not my best self. I'm not the best wife, I'm not the best mother, and I know that. And minimalism has helped me to be able to cope with those things. It's not the only coping mechanism I use. I've got 5 kids and things are going to get disorganized and there's going to be mess, but it's at a level which I can handle. It's a level that I know we can get back to square one again very quickly. And so it contributes greatly to not just my happiness, but, you know, as mothers particularly, we are the backbone of the family, and I know that my attitude can really dictate how the rest of the family feel. And so if I'm in a good place where I'm happy and calm, that things are going to go smoother for everybody else as well. So do I think minimalism makes you happy as a way? Yes. Do I think you can be happy without it? Yes. Do I think that it's the only thing that makes me happy? No. But the benefits of minimalism contribute to my happiness. So guys, I hope you like this video. I hope if you're struggling with anxiety or depression, that maybe you might have even just felt less alone by watching this video. If you've got any questions or comments, I absolutely love to hear from you. Let's chat down in the comments, because this is a really heavy subject and it's not something I take lightly. And so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It just lets me know that you'd like to see more videos like this, and I will catch you all in the next one.